Ambassador Kelthar of the Vexian Dominion stood before the massive viewing screen in his diplomatic chamber. His four eyes blinked slowly as he watched the small human vessel approach the station. The humans had requested an emergency meeting, and Kelthar had agreed only because he found their desperation amusing. The Dominion had conquered 17 star systems in the past century. They feared nothing, especially not the young species that had barely crawled out of their single planet a few hundred years ago. The human ambassador was a woman named Elena Vasquez. She walked into the chamber with 2 guards behind her. Her steps were calm, but her eyes carried a weight that Kelthar did not understand. She stopped at the center of the room and looked up at the towering Vexian without any sign of fear. "I, Ambassador Kelthar," she said, her voice steady. "Thank you for agreeing to meet with us." Kelthar made a sound that passed for laughter among his kind. "Your people have been sending messages for months. We grew tired of deleting them. Speak quickly, human. My time is valuable." Elena nodded slowly. 3 weeks ago, your warships entered the Kepler system. That system is under the protection of the Terran Empire. We sent you warnings. We asked you to withdraw. You killed our patrol ships instead. They were in our way, Kelthar said simply. The Kepler system has resources we need. Your claims mean nothing to the Dominion. Those patrol ships had crews, Elena said. Families are now missing their sons and daughters because of your actions. Kelthar leaned forward, his massive frame casting a shadow over the human woman. And what will you do about it? Your empire is young. Your fleet is small. The Dominion has crushed species far older and stronger than yours. You should be grateful we have not taken your homeworld already. Elena reached into her coat and pulled out a small data chip. She placed it on the table between them. This contains our final warning. If your forces do not leave the Kepler system within 48 hours, the Terran Imperial fleet will respond. This is not a threat. This is a promise. Kelthar picked up the chip between 2 massive fingers and crushed it into dust. Go home, little ambassador. Tell your leaders that the Dominion does not negotiate with prey. Elena watched the dust fall to the floor. Then she looked up at Kelthar with eyes that had grown cold. I tried, she said quietly. Remember that I tried. She turned and walked out of the chamber without another word. Kelthar watched her go and felt nothing but contempt. The humans were foolish to think their warnings meant anything. The Dominion had never been challenged, and it never would be. 48 hours passed. The Dominion fleet in the Kepler system had grown to 60 warships. They had begun mining operations on the 3rd planet and had established a military outpost on the largest moon. Commander Zorath, who led the fleet, received reports that no human ships had been detected anywhere in the system. He believed the humans had accepted their defeat. Then the sensors detected something strange. Space itself seemed to be bending at the edge of the system. The officers on the command ship watched their screens with confusion. Nothing in their database matched what they were seeing. The first ship appeared without warning. It was massive, easily 3 times the size of the largest Dominion vessel. Its hull was dark gray with golden markings that caught the light of the distant sun. More ships followed. 10, then 20, then 50. They kept coming, emerging from tiers in space that closed behind them like healing wounds. Commander Zorath counted 120 human warships before they stopped appearing. His 4 hands gripped the arms of his command chair. This was impossible. Intelligence reports had said the human fleet numbered no more than 30 vessels. A communication signal reached his ship. He hesitated, then opened the channel. A human face appeared on the screen. The man wore a black uniform with golden stars on his shoulders. His hair was gray, and his face was marked with scars. His eyes were the eyes of someone who had seen war and learned to master it. I am Admiral Marcus Kane of the Terran Imperial Navy, the man said. You were warned to leave this system. You chose to ignore those warnings. You killed our people. Now you will face the consequences. Zorath tried to sound confident. You may have more ships than we expected. but the Dominion has conquered greater enemies. We will not run from a species of primitives." Admiral Kane smiled, but there was no warmth in it. "I was hoping you would say that." The communication ended. Zorath immediately ordered his fleet to battle formation. 60 Dominion warships moved into position, their weapons charging. They had never lost a battle. They would not lose this one. The human fleet did not wait. They moved with a coordination that seemed almost impossible. Their ships worked as a single organism, each vessel knowing exactly where to be and when to strike. The first wave of missiles hit the Dominion left flank before their shields could fully activate. 3 ships exploded in seconds. Zorath watched in shock as his fleet was cut apart. The human weapons were unlike anything in the Dominion database. Their missiles carried payloads that seemed to ignore shields entirely. Their energy beams cut through armor like it was paper. And their ships moved with a speed that defied physics. The battle lasted 2 hours. When it was over, 47 Dominion ships had been destroyed. The remaining 13 were disabled and drifting. Not a single human vessel had been lost. Admiral Kane's face appeared on Zorath's screen again. The commander was bleeding from a wound on his head, and half of his bridge crew was dead around him. "Do you understand now?" Kane asked. "We tried diplomacy. We sent warnings. We asked for peace. Your leaders laughed at us and called us prey. So let me make something very clear to you, Commander. Humanity is not prey. We are predators who chose to be peaceful. You just reminded us of what we used to be." Zorath could not find words. Everything he had believed about humans, about the Dominion's superiority, had been shattered in 2 hours. "You will take your surviving ships and return to your territory," Kane continued. "You will tell your leaders what happened here. You will tell them that the Kepler system belongs to the Terran Empire. And you will tell them that if they ever threaten human space again, we will not stop at one system. We will burn a path to your homeworld and end your dominion forever. Do you understand?" Zorath nodded slowly. "I understand." The human fleet escorted the broken Dominion ships to the edge of the system. They watched as the aliens limped away into the darkness between stars. Then they began the work of reclaiming what was theirs. News of the battle spread across the galaxy within days. Species that had lived in fear of the Dominion for centuries heard about the young race that had humiliated the conquerors. Ambassador Kelther received Commander Zorath's report and read it 3 times, unable to believe what he was seeing. He remembered the human woman who had stood before him without fear. He remembered crushing her warning into dust. The Dominion Council gathered in emergency session. Some called for revenge, for a massive fleet to be assembled to crush the humans once and for all. But the military advisors showed them the numbers. The humans had hidden their true strength for decades. Their technology was at least a century ahead of what anyone had expected. A war with the Terran Empire would not be quick or easy. It might not even be winnable. For the first time in its history, the Vexian Dominion chose to negotiate. Ambassador Kelther was sent back to meet with the humans, this time with a very different attitude. Elena Vasquez was waiting for him, standing in the same chamber where he had dismissed her warnings. "You have returned," she said simply. Kelther lowered his massive head. "The Dominion seeks peace with the Terran Empire. We are prepared to recognize your territory and pay compensation for the lives we took." Elena studied him for a long moment. "You called us prey. You said we should be grateful you had not taken our homeworld." Kelther felt something he had never felt before. Shame. "I was wrong." Elena walked closer to the massive alien. She had to look up to meet his eyes, but somehow she seemed to be the one looking down. "Humanity learned a long time ago that peace is precious. We fought ourselves for thousands of years before we finally learned to work together. We built an empire not to conquer, but to protect. We do not start wars, Ambassador, but we finish them." She reached into her coat and pulled out another data chip. She placed it on the table between them. "This contains our terms for peace. I suggest you read them carefully this time. Kelthor picked up the chip gently, holding it like it was made of glass. I will present them to the council personally. Elena nodded. Good. An ambassador? Tell your council something else. Tell them that the fleet they saw in the Kepler system was our third fleet. We have 5 more just like it. We have kept our strength hidden because we wanted peace. But now the galaxy knows what humanity can do when pushed. I hope that knowledge helps maintain the peace for many years to come. Kelthor left the station with a new understanding of the species he had once dismissed as primitive. He returned to his homeworld and spoke to the council for 6 hours. He told them about the battle, about the human technology, about the cold anger in Admiral Kane's eyes. He told them that the humans were not weak because they preferred peace. They were strong enough to choose peace when they could have chosen conquest. The Dominion accepted every term in the human proposal. They withdrew from all disputed territories. They paid compensation to the families of the fallen patrol crews. They signed a treaty that guaranteed human sovereignty for the next 1,000 years. Other species watched and learned. The Terran Empire had demonstrated something that changed galactic politics forever. Humanity was patient. Humanity was reasonable. Humanity always offered warnings before they acted. But when those warnings were ignored, humanity became something else entirely. Admiral Kane returned to Earth as a hero, but he refused all celebrations. He stood instead at the memorial for the patrol crews that had been killed in the Kepler system, reading each name carved into the stone. When asked by reporters what message he wanted to send to the galaxy, he said only 5 words. Listen when we warn you. The galaxy listened. For the next 300 years, no species attacked human space. The warnings were never ignored again, and humanity continued to grow, to build, to explore. They remained peaceful, but they never forgot how to fight. They kept their fleets ready, their technology advancing, their people united, because they had learned a simple truth that the Dominion had failed to understand. Peace was not weakness. Peace was the choice made by those who were strong enough to destroy everything but wise enough to preserve it instead. The Dominion had seen humanity as prey because they measured strength only by aggression. They had been wrong, and the galaxy would remember their mistake forever.